Welcome to another episode of the Bank Free Blueprint Podcast. Today I have with me Willie Hooks. Willie is the CEO of JTE Associates, and Willie does performance coaching and organizational development and consulting. He's consulted with Fortune 500 companies, high-level executive in Fortune 500 companies, master coach. Willie, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's great to be here, Tom. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time on this. You and I have known each other for quite some time now, about seven and a half, 8 years.
Yeah, and a great experience too.
Yeah. Likewise, I have to say that you are one of the key people that was part of me being able to get back on track. I had my challenges with the 2008, 2009 financial crisis. And so I want to thank you publicly here that I really do appreciate all of the insight and all the value you and your team, Coach Mary and everyone else have brought to me. And really, it's made a huge difference in my being able to get back on track and make things, get things really rolling again. So thank you very much, Willie.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure to do it.
Yeah, thank you. So you do a lot of coaching for high-level executives. As I mentioned, you even train and develop and certify individuals where they then become performance coaches. And you've written over a dozen books. You have just a huge wealth of knowledge. And one of the things that I've really appreciated about your style and the way you mentor and teach and coach is that you are what I would call very deliberate and articulate, where you can say in very few words, but very powerfully, certain things that really get to the core of what the issue is. So that's been my experience, and I know that I've had friends and associates who have said the same thing. And so, again, I just I think that's a great attribute of yours. I think you're known for your quote, "When all is said and done, more is said than done." And in your case, that may not even be so much the case for you, because fewer words and a lot of accomplishments. So very cool.
Well, one of my passions is helping people. And when I decided on a course of direction, it was how do I share my knowledge and wisdom? And, people always say, how do you get to be so wise? It's you make mistakes and you learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
So I can share things that have happened to me. I can share processes and tools that help people overcome stuff. And so I said, hey, I want to share that. Then I want to teach others to share that. How do I leverage myself? Because I'm one person. I can get more done by leveraging myself through other people by sharing my knowledge. So that's why I got into coaching. Then I went into let me certify coaches so that they can share the knowledge and continue to have a greater impact. So that model of leveraging yourself and your knowledge works for any business, not just coaching. Because when you think of accomplishing anything big, anything great, you can't do it by yourself. I mean, sure, you can accomplish some small things by yourself, but if you truly say, I want to maximize the opportunity, then you need to say, how do I leverage my knowledge, my insight, my sphere of influence? How do I help other people get to where they're trying to go? Out of that, I'll get more of what I want, and I'll have more of an impact on the world. So that's how I led to the journey. So when it comes to someone like you, it's me serving you out of my commitment to serve others. And that's kind of how the whole cycle works. I have no choice but to help others. So when someone comes to me, I remember a few weeks ago, a guy came to me and he asked me for some help. And then after, I talked to him, I spent a little time with him. Then we set up some time. And then when I walked away, the person that knew us said, you set up some time with this guy. You spent a lot of time with him. You don't even like him. And I said, it's not about me liking it. My
Hmm.
passion and my gift is to share my knowledge and to help where I can help. It's not about I do that with people I like. I do that with people I think can have an impact. And I'm sharing because that's my passion. That's my journey for the next years in my life.
Hmm. No, I totally can understand and see how that's truly valuable. I mean, we all know that leverage is really powerful in real estate and in investing, but this is another form of investing, almost where you being able to really help others out, and then also even to the level of helping show others how to help others, is can be really powerful. I know for me, my passion is my big why, or my way of being, is I want to be an influencer of influencers, so that I can help do my little piece of changing or making my little section of the world a better place to be. So I definitely can understand and appreciate where you're coming from on that. So, and you've always just been so open and giving with everything that you have. So that's very much appreciated. With as our audience is uh, really made up of a lot of investors that either are currently passive investors, maybe they have money to invest, or active investors, they have deals where they're looking for money. And that, by the way, that's really the purpose of this podcast, and the purpose of the real estate investment club we run, and all of that, is to show people with money how to work with people with deals how to work with people with money, kind of creating a really good solid process system and a collaborative way of doing real estate deals, and getting them done safer and more profitably than trying to do it lone wolf. And so with that as the sort of the premise, or the setting the stage, there are a couple of things. One is, when I look at it, when I do my mentoring, what I find is there are things that are holding people back, and two things primarily, I think. One is not knowing exactly what path they want to go down. So what is their path? And I always go back to, well, to really understand your path, it's finding the big why. What is the passion you have? What is it that's going to drive you, get you excited, get you up every morning, and really make you want to go? But the other is, there are certain things that are holding people back, and it might be procrastination. It might be the need for feeling like it has to be perfect. Just knowing when good is good enough, those types of things. And I know you and I have had some of those discussions in the past. So if we break it down into one of the two categories, either finding the big why, or the passion, or the reason, or what is holding people back once they know which path they want to go with, procrastination or perfection. Any thoughts that come to mind just from that sort of a setup?
Yeah, let's take one piece of that, and then we'll talk about the other, is finding your passion. So there's a misnomer that you can find your passion through thought alone. So passion really speaks to what's the emotion, what's inside of you, what fires you up, what gets you excited. So to think that you can sit around and think your way to what your passion is really tough. It's a hard way to do. I mean, as you know, I developed a program called the Lifestyle Code, and it
Mhm.
was really to help you get a handle on what was important in different areas of your life. So, for example, what's important to you in terms of your physical health? You need the energy and the vitality to do what you want to do in life. So, what's your vision for your health? What's your financial vision? Because you need the financial resources to do the things you want to do. So money is just energy, and you shouldn't be short of any energy that you need to live the lifestyle that you want. What about relationships? What are the important relationships in your life, and how do you want them to be? So getting clear on the different areas of your life that you want results in, and what is the quality of that result, will let you start to formulate what your overall passion is.
Mm.
Then you can look at kind of my career or my business. What is the purpose of this business? Yes, it's to make money, but is there a purpose bigger than that? Meaning, one person had his purpose for his business was to help young kids that have dropped out of high school. So he brought them into his real estate investment business, and he used his business as a way of helping them. Absolutely, you want to make money. It's not a business if it's not making money.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if it's not growing at double digits, it's not a business because you're not going to keep up with inflation and the other costs and things. So businesses make money, not a problem with that. Business should operate with a set of values and principles that's consistent with who you are. Not a problem with that. Is there another purpose for your business? Meaning, like my friend, to help young kids that have dropped out of high school that had great potential, but they would never go on to college.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Real estate is a great business for high school dropouts that want to apply themselves to make good money, feed their family, take care of themselves. Another passion is taking care of your family. So once you get clear on the life areas that you want success in, then does something else emerge? How do you want to contribute to the world? Is there some impact you want to have on the world bigger than just making money? Is there, and there's nothing wrong with making money because you can use money to fuel your commitment to help others. So
Yeah.
not bad. But is there another driving passion, something inside of you that you want to share? Is there something you want to have happen in the world? Is there a cause that you want to contribute to? Is there some darkness in the world that you want to bring light to? Do you want to work with homeless and do something about the homeless situation? Do you want to work with kids? Do you want to work with battered wives? What is that thing that you say, I just would like to work to in that thing or to make a dent at improving that thing? See, that's where your passion emerges. It doesn't mean that you're not making money. It doesn't mean that you're not taking care of your family. It doesn't mean that you're not supporting your physical body. See, all those things support you in making the contribution that you want to make.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the interesting thing is you think about, I mean, you and I went through the Men Who Built America
Mm-hmm.
program together.
Yeah.
All of those guys, in fact, who built a lot of the strategies that we use today, they all in the end realized that they wanted to contribute to others. And they started to compete with each other on who could do the most good and who could do the most illuminatory work to help others.
Yeah.
Look at Bill Gates. What is he doing?
Right.
Very successful. Now he's contributing to others. He has the Gates Foundation where, I mean, he's trying to figure out how can he handle some of the darkness or areas of needs around the world.
Yeah.
Don't wait until you retire. What is that thing that you want to help bring light to today?
Yeah. And you just mentioned a couple of things there. One is when I think about there are some people I believe who still feel that money is not necessarily that the want for money is not good. And I guess there's different ways of looking at that. But I always look at it that money really just makes us more of what we are. So if we're a good person and we're a giving person, we're generous, it's going to allow us to be that much more of what we are. If we're a jerk or we're being mean or rude or any of those other things, it'll allow us to be more of that too, which we don't like, of course. But that's one thing. The other is that when I look at the I always call it the big why. What is our big why? And our big why is sort of that target, that end sort of end goal or where we want to be. Whereas and that what helps us get our passion is knowing what that target, what our big why is, and our passion then becomes our fuel for the vehicle, which is maybe it's real estate, maybe whatever the business it may be, maybe it's just whatever it is. So it's a way of really fueling everything that goes. Because if we don't know our big why, if we don't have passion, it's really hard to get excited about things in life, especially in business. So
let me touch on a couple of things because you're hitting on a lot of programs that I've developed, like this whole issue around money. And is money good? Is money bad? So I did a program called The Inner Game of Money. And it's really to poke a hole in the fact that this whole notion of if you have money, you're evil, it's easier to get through eye of a needle, a camel to get through the eye of a needle than to get into heaven and all that. That, that's all old programming
Mm-hmm.
designed to keep you from being an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that mindset was designing you and programming you to fit into the cog of the system so that you could be a worker, work in the factory or work in the fields. So that mindset was just pervasive through the country and the culture at one time, but it was designed to say, we don't want entrepreneurs. We already have enough businesses. We want people that are comfortable working in the factories. What better way to make sure that we have this endless stream of factory workers and people
Conformists. Yeah.
exactly than to spread that mindset through
Mm-hmm.
money. Here's how I look at it: money is not the most important thing in life. Money is just energy that you can use to do the most important things in life.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. That's what money is.
Yeah.
The other thing that you touched on, and I've done a lot of research on what does it take for a person to be fulfilled. See, not happiness, because we look at happiness as a transitory state, meaning I'm unhappy, then I go to happy. I achieve something, now I'm happy. So we think of happy as a transitory state, transitioning from unhappy. So you
Mm-hmm.
can be happy. That's why a lot of very rich and successful and famous people try to commit suicide. It's not because they're not happy, it's because they don't have this sense of fulfillment. So when you think of it, you can think of happiness is one level, but the next level up is fulfillment. You cannot achieve your way to fulfillment. You can achieve and become happy. You can be successful and become happy. But we have enough evidence, if we look across entertainers and people that have made millions of dollars and they're unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
See, fulfillment can only be achieved by contributing to another. It's not something you get because of something you did for yourself. So, for example, if I buy myself a new car, I might be happy for about a week, or 3 weeks, and then I go, it's just a car. However, if I buy my granddaughter a new car, and I ask me how I know this, I just did that, and I have that sense of fulfillment forever. A few of the things that I just feel so good about is my mother, when she was alive, she needed a home, and I bought her a home. See,
Yeah. Yeah.
I bought 3, 4,
Wow.
5 homes for myself. They
Yeah.
didn't give me that sense of fulfillment.
Yeah.
Fulfillment can only be experienced through contributing to another or bringing something forward into the world that you had inside. So, for example, like if you're a musician or an artist or something like that, and you have this music inside of you, you want to share with the world. See, you're sharing that with another, so that fulfillment is
Mm-hmm.
there. And you see artists playing hours and hours for nothing.
Yeah.
Yes, you have the famous artists that are playing just for the money, but just think about the thousands and thousands of artists that are playing for no money. They just have this burning passion inside to bring their music to as many people as they can. So think of it as you can't achieve your way to fulfillment. You can achieve your way to a level of happiness, but you cannot. Fulfillment only comes when you're making a contribution to another. That's why a lot of, the men who built America, the Rockefellers and the Gates and stuff, they realized that. And then they started to say, how do I contribute to another? Because I want that sense of fulfillment, not just achievement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that. The word fulfillment is definitely very descriptive in that sense. So, very cool. So let's say that now you mentioned the lifestyle code and how you put that together. There, how does one maybe take it from wanting to be passionate and about something and wanting to really figure out what it is that is their calling, Do you have any bits of advice or just little anything that could help
Yeah.
them get started?
Yeah. One of the things to do is to start to look at what are the things you're doing that that bring you joy that you're not getting paid for. What are those things? Because quite often we start saying, I know what I want to do, I know what I'm passionate about, but I can't figure out how to make money at it.
Mm.
All right. And I go, no, look at what you're passionate about. Start to really get clear on what that is. So for me, I was making a lot of money in corporate America managing large organizations. So I was a vice president of worldwide. So I was managing worldwide organizations, $2 billion organizations, and I was achieving, but I didn't have that sense of fulfillment. I realized that what I was most fulfilled about was the people that I had developed. I
Mm.
was more fulfilled when I looked at that than I did when I looked at, oh, wow, I just was 120% of my budget. I got a big bonus. I got plaques and recognition. And I go,
Hmm.
okay, that's all good. That's all wonderful. You should always have all that. That's great. But what I was just felt so good about was the people that I had developed, the people I had trained, to see them go on. Some stayed in the company, some left. Then I created a program that I started to do that involved the families. And so I was training their families, their wives, their husbands, their kids. Then I opened it up and said, you can bring a space available, because we were running these programs on the weekend.
Hmm.
Space available, you can bring anybody you want. It could be a cousin, an uncle. And then,
Wow.
these people would see me and they would come up to me. They were not employees, they were wives and husbands and kids and stuff. And man, I started to light up. And I said, the success is great, but
Mm.
that sense of fulfillment. I said, how do I move from where I am now to doing more of that? So a lot of times we think, well, we might need to leave our job or something to do that. And I said, maybe not, though. There may be a way to use your job to get that fulfillment. But you first want to identify what that passion is, what that thing is inside of you, and then start to say, how do I get more of that into my life? And you might start off and say, I got 10% more, then 15%
Hmm.
more, then 20% more. It's like I went from working in corporate America, where, by the way, I used that to help lots of people. So I didn't leave corporate America because I wasn't doing my passion and feeling fulfilled. I was,
Yeah.
because I used the resources to really have a huge impact.
Yeah, and to be that's a great example of being able to, like you just said, not necessarily make a huge change in your lifestyle, everything, but taking it from within, if I understand, taking it within the company that you were working with and building, you were able to shift into another area, maybe not 100% right away, but gradually shift into that area of being able to teach and mentor and help out people at a different level, along with everything else that you were doing while you were managing the company.
Right. And using the resources that I had available through the company
Hmm.
helped me do more of contribution to the world.
Yeah, instead of quitting your job and starting over with 10 people in front of you, you were able to just make a shift and have hundreds of, if not thousands of people in front of you.
Exactly. See, too often we think my job is getting in the way of me doing what I want and making a contribution.
Mm.
So here's a point. What traps us, because one of the things you talked about was the mindset and its impact on your success.
Hmm.
So what traps us is the stories that we tell ourselves that we believe are true. If we change the story, we change our behavior and we change the result. So here was my story change. So I could have said, my job is stopping me from contributing to others the way I want to. My job is getting in the way of me doing what I want. My job is getting in the way of me fulfilling my passion. I said, no, how can I use my job to make a contribution? How
Mm.
can I use my job to fulfill my passion? How can I use my job to make this bigger contribution and nurture and create the sense of inner fulfillment that I desire? See, we get trapped in these stories as though it is true, and then it puts this limiting belief. Mm-hmm. Wherever you are, you could do more to bring your passion to the world. You just have to shift the story from a I can't to how do I do this? And then you let the subconscious mind work on it for you.
Right.
You asked a question earlier, well, how do you get started? And, one of the things I said is start to look for where you find that internal passion. Remember, it's a feeling, it's an emotion. It's a little more difficult for men to get in touch with that feeling and the emotion than it is for women. Mm-hmm. So you gotta kind of wade through that and say, where do I feel alive? Another key to what excites you is, what do people come to you for? What kind of questions or challenges do people bring to you? And then you wind up trying to help them with it.
Yeah, and then feel good when you do that, right?
Exactly. So we can think that people are coming to us because of them with certain things. You can say, man, why do people always keep coming to me with these kind of situations? Uh-huh. And I go, so we can think it's them when really it's us. So the situations and the questions that people are bringing to you are a reflection of something you're transmitting. It's not them, because they're not asking those questions to everybody they see. So if you start looking for, is there a pattern on what people are asking me? It's like I identified early, people are always asking me, Willie, how do you do this? Or how do you do that? Or how do you overcome that? And I would go, if I didn't have an answer, I'd go, okay, let me find an answer and research and stuff. I go back, and I wasn't getting paid for it. All right. Now, fast forward, what am I doing? I'm helping people by sharing my knowledge with challenges and stuff that they bring to me. See, it came up early on by me looking at what is it that people keep coming to me with? What kind of situations do they come to me with that I seem to be doing and enjoy doing, even though I may not be getting paid for it?
Yeah, that's really that I look at it. The point of recognition to me is so important, and just by you being able to share it this way, I think for me and for a lot of listeners, it's going to be sort of an aha moment. And so this can be the point of recognition of realizing that there is another way to skin the cat, so to speak, by not necessarily switching jobs, not necessarily making big changes, but making smaller shifts. So that recognition that could be a really good option. And then the second step I would say would be being able to be observant and over time, one will, I think we end up really opening up that door of opportunity, that door of possibility. And by doing that, then we'll find a lot of these things start coming to us, and the answers will start shaking themselves out as to what it really is that makes us tick and really makes us happy and feel fulfilled, like you said.
Yeah, and to know that it's about reprogramming and reconnecting. So I'm going to give you kind of what I call the 3 R's. So let's say, for example, you said, I really want to understand what my overall passion is, what's really inside of me that's driving me, that I may not be acting on, at least to the level that I want. So the first step is, how do you reprogram your conscious mind? And so let's say my passion was working with young kids. So the conscious mind, I would set a goal to say, let me start to work with 3 kids, or let me find a place that I could coach and mentor young kids. Let me find a place that's looking for someone with my skill set to come in and help out. So the way you reprogram the conscious mind is through setting clear goals, creating an action plan, and then executing that. Setting measurables, you can do SMART goals, whatever. But that's how you reprogram the conscious mind. So that's one of the R's, reprogram conscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
Next R is you have to reprogram the subconscious mind. We talked about money earlier, and one of the things around money is you need to reprogram your subconscious mind that money is okay.
Right.
So if you wanted to work with kids and you say, I'm not sure this is what I want, I'm not sure this is my passion, but you need to do it before you get a sense of, yeah, this really is it or this really isn't it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So first R is reprogram conscious. The next R is reprogram the subconscious mind. And that's about visualizing what it would be like working with kids or whatever your passion is. Visualize how that would be, creating your affirmations,
Mm-hmm.
using visualization in order to do that mental rehearsal, because what you're trying to do is change the subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
the subconscious mind is it's a habit machine. You're trying to create a new habit,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what you're trying to do. So first R is reprogram conscious. Next R is reprogram the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
The third R is reconnecting with the universal flow, reconnecting with your heart, reconnecting with your soul, reconnecting with a deeper oneness that we're all a part of.
Mm-hmm.
So reprogramming, conscious, reprogramming, subconscious, then let me reconnect with my true essence. One of the things you talked about was collaborating.
Mm-hmm.
See, you want to reconnect with that the value and the strength of working and collaborating with others is how I achieve a greater result, how I make a contribution. But we lose sight of that because we get into the scarcity mentality of it's me against them, and I can't get to where I want to go unless I stomp them out.
Mm-hmm.
Reconnecting says, let me reconnect with a higher self. Let me reconnect with a higher purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Let me reconnect with who I really am deep inside of me. So I'm going to use the universal laws like the law of attraction, the law of manifestation, the law of allowing. I'm not going to be so judgmental. See, that's what now will draw that new thing to you in greater and greater proportions.
I
So
see.
the three R's: reconnect with the reprogram your conscious mind, reprogram your subconscious mind, then reconnect with the universal flow, the higher self.
And to get to that point of reconnecting with the universal flow and higher self, is that something that is more or less within us already, that we already subconsciously maybe know a lot of that, and how to get to that point of what we feel is right or best for us?
Yeah, something that we knew that we forgot that we need to reconnect again.
Mm-hmm.
So, meditation is a good way to do that by being able to be in the present moment, being able to sync up with, feel the energy flowing through your body, getting centered, to let anger and resentment and disappointment, let it all drift away. Stop resisting people, open up your heart, feel
Mm-hmm.
again. See, we know that, but we tend not to do it. We get so busy with what? Activity, activity, activity. Set aside time to say, let me do some meditation. Let me do some reflection. Let me stand in a higher place. Usually when we take an action, and I ask people, now that action you just did you do it from lower self or did you do it from higher self?
Yeah.
They pretty quickly go, yeah, that was pretty low, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go, okay, what would a higher position be? What would the highest good be? And we know it. But I recommend that. So I'm a meditator. I've been
Mm-hmm.
meditating for a long time. I think meditation is just a great. People tend to think meditation is religious or spiritual. But no, it's the best thing you could do to reduce stress, take care of your body, and reconnect you with the possibilities of what's available.
Yeah, and when I think of meditation, it's a lot different than what it used to be. But right now, when I think of meditation, I think of slowing the mind down, just really slowing it down to allow things to happen rather than keeping the storm the storm going on in my mind, that I call it the shit storm going around in my mind of just all kinds of different thoughts happening all the time. But what that does is it helps me slow things down.
Yeah, that's what meditation does. I mean, that's one of the benefits is the average person has between 50,000 and 90,000 thoughts a day.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
That's a lot.
most of those thoughts, or 80% of those thoughts, are negative.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts you had the day before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you meditate, you're not struggling with the thoughts. You let them flow in and flow out. Right.
Yeah. Well, and
Struggle disappears.
that makes me think of an exercise that you gave me. Oh, this was years ago, quite a few years ago. And that was to think of a conveyor belt in front of you. And that conveyor belt has thoughts on it. Each thought is a separate item on that conveyor belt. It keeps passing you by. And we either have a choice of accepting that thought, taking it off the conveyor belt and being letting it affect us, or we can let that thought pass by and just pick the thoughts that we want off of that conveyor belt. And for me, that was really that visualization of it has been really helpful in me being able to realize that certain things just are not worth keeping in the middle of the thought process. They're like you said, you think of something, 90% of what you think of is reruns of something that was thought of before. And so,
yes, it's a negative rerun.
Yeah.
What meditation allows you to do, along with visualization, is start to shift onto the things you want to have happen and not be stuck with
Mm-hmm.
those dead thoughts. See, they're dead because they're past.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't take action in the past.
Yeah.
The present moment is the only domain of action. You can't take action in the future. You can't take action in the past. So being in the future, being in the present moment is the domain of action. Being clear on what you need to do to move forward in the direction you want to go, moving forward from a higher self allows you to reconnect with your deeper purpose, and then you move forward. So you're not struggling with what's already happened.
Mm-hmm. Right. Very cool. And let's just shift gears just a little bit here. If we talked a little bit about, I mentioned the procrastination, the perfectionism, when is good enough, all of that. And let's just tie it in a little bit, maybe to, for instance, one of your books is a game of raising money, right?
Right.
And with that, there just is a huge amount of mindset, I believe, when it comes to money and raising money and things like that. So let's say it's active investors right now that are looking for money for deals, and this might be a little bit too much to get into right now. But do you have any initial thoughts that come from?
Sure, yeah. So first of all, is change the story. There is no scarcity of money.
Mm-hmm.
There's an abundance of money. There's no scarcity of it. So most investors have this mindset, and it's a belief that they really believe strongly, is that there's a scarcity of money and that money will be hard to get.
Mm-hmm.
As a result of that belief, they procrastinate. They go inside themselves and they start to procrastinate. So you can go back to the 3 R's, and I know we're running out of time. So let me just walk you through the 3 R's in regards to raising money, in regards to not procrastinating.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing is people procrastinate because something looks like it's too big.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do I raise more money is a concept. You can't execute a concept that's too big.
Uh-huh.
So to reprogram the conscious mind, you make a goal of, let's say and I'll just throw out a number, I'm going to raise $60 million this year, in the next 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
We know people that have done that.
Yeah.
See, we know people that went from 0 to that, and it wasn't a function of they had these special gifts. It was, they removed the mental barriers. Mm-hmm. So you set a goal, whatever your goal is. For you, it might be $1 million or $2 million. See, the conscious mind needs a goal. Now let's break that goal down into an action plan. So we're making it smaller. The mind can't execute big things. It tends to procrastinate. So you break it down into a bite-sized step that you can do next week, and the next week.
Mm.
That reduces procrastination. So one of the first steps to reducing procrastination is to reprogram the conscious mind, set a goal, break that goal down into an action plan, come back and plan your actions for the next week and the next week.
Ah,
Okay?
that makes sense.
Right? Then step up and say, how do I reprogram my subconscious mind? Because I have these beliefs about it's going to be hard. Nobody's going to believe in me. There's a scarcity of money. What you do is you step forward, let's say a year from now, and you visualize exactly what you want to have happen. So you visualize the goal. Then you visualize the joy and the excitement you feel when you achieve the goal. Let's say for $60 million or $2 million, you raised it. Then you visualize the people that are investing the money with you and the joy that they get when they're getting their return. Once you create that as an affirmation or visualization, then what you do is read, imprint, and visualize that 3 times a day. In the mornings, midday, before you go to sleep. You also read that before you go and talk to a potential private money source or investor, right? And that gets you in the right mindset to go do it. So that's how you reprogram the subconscious mind. Then next, how do you reconnect with the universal flow? So you reconnect now. And the way you do that is visualize what is the contribution you will make when you are receiving the financial reward for raising the money. How are you going to contribute to others? How is that going to contribute to your family? How is that going to make a difference in the world? How will you use it? You know, reconnect to how did that business help the world? How did it make things better? How did it help you fulfill your purpose? So that's the 3 levels of how you would get around procrastination and draw more money into your life.
So it's about bringing a more clarity, more detail and a breakdown to what it is, rather than having the huge task of raising $2 million or whatever it is, and just getting kind of locked up in, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? It's going to be impossible. Versus setting the timeline, and then the processes and the steps, and breaking it down, and then visualize.
So the conscious mind needs that before it will move forward. Subconscious mind needs to visualize the positive emotion from it, and then the universal connection needs to know, how does this contribute to others in the world?
Okay, excellent. Oh, that's great information. That really helps break it down into some manageable chunks anyway. So, yeah, unfortunately, we're running out of time here, but I do want to ask you just a couple other questions. What, if you had like a book or a resource that you would recommend that was really something that, maybe it was a book that you read or even a book that you wrote, but what would you recommend for listeners that are in this based around the discussions we've had?
Yeah, I'm going to recommend 2 books that I wrote, and then one that I just finished that I really love a lot that I didn't write. So 12 Strategies for Success is a book I wrote. The Inner Game of Raising Private Money, if you're doing anything with investing, you should read that. It's a must read. And to be more effective, I'm reading a book called Mind Hacking. And it just shows you how to reprogram your mind and cut through all the junk so that you can move forward faster.
Good. No, that's very helpful. Thank you. And if someone would like to, though, I think you mentioned that those are available on Amazon, all 3 of them?
All of them through Amazon.
Yeah, and any of the other books that you've, I think 13 books that you've written, any of them would be available on Amazon as well?
Yeah, if you just, go to Amazon and put in my name, Willie Hooks, and they'll have books that pop up. Yeah.
Okay, Great, great. And if anybody, if any of the listeners or viewers would like to reach out to you, is there a way that they can, let's say they have a question or something that they wanted to run by you? I know that you're probably extremely busy, and you may regret giving me contact if you so choose. But just thought I would ask.
Yeah, if you can put my email up on the video, and then make sure they put in the subject line, your show, and then I'll get right back to them.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, and we'll have what we're going to do. We're going to put all of this information in the show notes. So if you're driving, don't worry about having jotted these down. They will be in the show notes. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, the Bank Free Blueprint podcast. Again, it's about collaborating, working together, helping everyone so that everybody can have safer, more profitable deals, have more fun doing it, and just overall be able to help a lot more people and live the life we want to live. So, Willie, I truly appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to potentially doing this again if you would ever be so inclined. I love the discussions.
Well, you're so welcome, and absolutely, just let me know.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.